All right, I believe we are good to go. Three, two, one, boom. We are officially live. Thank you both for doing this. It really means a lot to me. Hello, everyone. And on this episode of the Cyber Cafe, we have two very special guests. We have the founders of Hacktify.in, Shifa Cyclewala and Rohit Gautam. Welcome to the show, you guys. It is a great honor to have both of you here today.
Thank you so much, Ishan, for the invitation.
Thank you so
You're very
much.
welcome.
Thank you so much, Ishan, for
You're
having us
very
on the show.
welcome, Rohit. That's great. So we have two guests today. The first guest is Shifa Cyclewala. She is the director of the Hacktify community, the director of Hacktify cybersecurity. I think she has had a previous before this she used to be a mobile application developer for since 2017. So she was a mobile app developer for I think the past 5-6 years, and now she's stepped into cybersecurity, and now she's teaching young minds on how things work. And Rohit Gautam, you've been a hacker ever since you've grown up, it seems, because you've been doing bug bounty hunting for the past 8 to 10 years. And before that, I believe you also worked at um, ICICI Bank as an information security consultant. So it is a great pleasure to have both of you on my show.
That's great.
Thank you, Ishan.
So you're very welcome. How do you if nobody knew what I just said, I don't think a lot of people go through LinkedIn profiles and CVs anymore. They just look at your profiles on, let's say, they just look at your work on YouTube or on Instagram, right? If they haven't done that, how would either one of you introduce yourself to the public? Let's start with Shifa.
I would like to introduce and start myself by my name. I am Shifa Cyclewala. I have completed my engineering in electronics and communications, and then I started working with Zing HR as a mobile application developer. I have been developing certain applications and helped a lot of users by giving the best experience I can. And then I moved into cybersecurity because this was the part which I used to enjoy the most, and I wanted to be into security. So now what I do is we teach students about ethical hacking, web application pen testing, mobile application pen testing, and a lot more. Not only teaching, we also do a lot of services. We deal with multiple projects wherein we secure the application as well as we develop some infrastructure for various clients. So when we say or hear about this word hacking, everyone is so fascinated about it because we work into it. So many students have different queries. Even a layman knows about hacking because they have been heard from a lot of movies this word. Everyone feels very familiar with this word hacking. So this is not very difficult to tell anyone that I work into hacking. Yeah, some of them think that way, that okay, this is doing something very fishy, but yeah, this is what we do. We secure applications.
That's fantastic. So you do just mobile applications, or you do all web applications as well, like just mobile applications?
I have professionally worked as a mobile application developer, but I do develop a web application for our own organization. So I have a basic knowledge about it.
That's great. That was a pretty solid introduction. You went from studying engineering into cybersecurity. I really appreciate that, because I think even I'm going down the same path. I'm an IT student, first year, and I'm a CSIT student. So I know a few basics of computers. That's what I'm studying here. And I look forward to going ahead and making a career in cybersecurity and maybe being the biggest expert in the next 10 years.
Wow, that's so great.
Thank you. So now, how would Rohit introduce himself?
Sure. So first of all, my name is Rohit, and I am actually a real hacker, not what is shown in movies. A lot of fancy stuff is being shown, that is actually not even 1% of what actually hacking is. So talking about myself, I have done my graduation in electronics and communication. After that, I have done postgrad, double postgrad in information security 2 times. And now I have worked with different organizations like banking infrastructure. And in those organizations, we basically try to safeguard your money, which is the amount that you have kept in the bank through the internet banking applications portal that you use. We safeguard them from bad people, that is black hat hackers. This is what I have done professionally. Apart from that, I am very much keen and interested towards teaching, and have been teaching actively since last many years on different platforms like Upgrad, Udemy, and there are many other platforms as well. So I basically try to talk and teach about my industry experience, whatever I have learned in the industry itself, and try to fill actually the bridge between the students and the conventional college and what actually the industry wants in cybersecurity. So most of my time and Shifa's time goes in cybersecurity, and our life revolves around cybersecurity itself. Apart from this, bug bounty hunting is one more thing that we do actively. Recently, we have scored around $6,000, $7,000 from Apple for identifying potential flaws in multiple vulnerabilities. We have reported a lot of bugs till now to most of the organizations like Facebook, Apple, etc. So we also try to teach this to students of how they can also make a successful career in bug bounty hunting and cybersecurity as well.
Wow. That you both do a lot of stuff here at Hacktify. And I really appreciate what you're doing. I really like that.
Thanks, Ishan.
Yeah, I mean, I've also seen your work and content on YouTube and LinkedIn. I mean, I really like what you're doing. I think even a little, I think you just started Instagram, because I haven't seen much on Instagram, but I've seen a lot on YouTube. I'm seeing a lot of content on LinkedIn. I mean, I have not only seen just, I think a few weeks ago, I was having a live stream with one of my cybersecurity friends, and again, he said one thing that really hit me, that the one thing that he does not like is that everybody on social media just likes to flaunt about how much money they made on bug bounty hunting just by sharing the screenshot that, hey, you received so many dollars, but they don't exactly explain what the bug was, or they don't try to explain and spread education in how they made that money. How did they find that bug? And I think I've seen you've done some of your content revolves around the specific bugs and what's going on around with bug bounty, and I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Ishan. Yes, your friend has taken out a very important point that yes, showing your happiness with the world is important. That's fine if you want to show them that how much you have earned through bug bounty, but also sharing a tip so that that can help thousands of users is equally important. So yes, I do appreciate, and all my students, my recommendation to all of them is not only just put the bug type, also try to write some blogs on how you made it, how have you thought of this organization, and how have you done the whole process. If you do that, thousands of users can benefit from this. So yeah, this is one thing I also try to spread to my students, and with your channel we can do a lot more.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. As Shifa has mentioned. So we also have a playlist of videos in which we say for specific bug class, these are the techniques which bug hunters do not want you to know. So we basically be very transparent and share things that we know to our expertise, so that people can learn from them actually, without posting, yay, I have got this much amount of bounty.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really great. I mean, I really like that you just said that Strix bug bounty hunters don't want you to know. I mean, that's obvious. I don't think any expert wants you to know their secrets. It's like Google wanting to reveal their source code to the public. You don't want that. All right. So I'm sure you both must have had some different choices when you were a kid, but still, what made both of you develop an interest in cybersecurity? We could start with Shifa.
With me? I
Yes.
thought at cybersecurity we would start with Rohit. Okay. So we both completed education from same college, completing our electronics and communication education. So Rohit was so fascinated about hacking. He used to come and show me the tricks of hacking each day that, hey, Shifa, I have learned something very new. Which was not even a subject, but still he used to force not only me, to all the students or the group of students. He used to revolve around hacking all the while. So he used to show his cool tricks to so many of them. And this is how my interest. So Rohit is the one who took me into this. I would give the whole credit to him, because he was the only one who introduced hacking in such a way to me. So for me, it started at early college days. In second year of our engineering, both of us got a chance an internship to work into a cybersecurity organization in second year of our engineering. So that was a booster. That is how we professionally get into cybersecurity, and since then there is no looking back. We are continually doing our research, but somehow I couldn't make into cybersecurity. I also developed my interest towards programming and that part. So this is how I started my job into mobile application development. But cybersecurity was something that I didn't wanted to miss. So then somehow we got an opportunity to again work together. And this is how we started Hacktify Cybersecurity. So for me, the initial point was Rohit, who forced me get into and learn certain things. So yeah, he was the one. So let's know about Rohit, how he got interested into cybersecurity.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Shifa, for that very good experience about yourself. And thank you so much for giving so much gratitude to me. I believe Shifa, first of all, was a very, very brilliant student in college itself. So if it was not me, she herself would be very much successful in cybersecurity. Talking about my experience, I was very much fascinated towards technology since my school days. Like when I was in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, I was so much fascinated. I used to know about these things. How does Linux works? How does Metasploit works? And all that stuff. Not professionally. I just used to do it for my personal gains, for just to learn something out of that. Started learning about how games work. How can we crack games, reverse engineer games using IDA Pro, OLEDBG, making, you can say, unlicensed versions licensed, or doing that kind of stuff in the beginning itself. And from there I was so much inclined towards learning more about how actually reverse engineering works, how does wireless stuff works, what actually is web application pen testing. And what I'm learning is actually will give me a career opportunity and will also land me a good job. My family was not so much tech savvy, I would say, or being very honest. And they never thought that being an ethical hacker can also be considered as a career opportunity. But I was very much interested into this. I got multiple opportunities, as Shifa has expressed, in our college time, and we got a very good organization to work with. From there, first of all, for doing anything in our life, this is for all the participants. The first most important thing is curiosity, and I was very much curious. So that was a very good booster for us. And whatever resources I needed, I got from there, which actually gave me more confidence. And I thought, yes, this can definitely taken as a career opportunity rather than a hobby. After that, there was no looking back. Started learning more, read a lot of books. I'm fond of reading books specifically for related to ethical hacking. So I read a lot of books, articles, blogs in my free time. And from there, it started all slowly and slowly. I started understanding actually that there is something else also which is required in cybersecurity industry, which we call as pen testing. So started moving towards pen testing, learned about pen testing, did a couple of jobs, switched a lot of profiles, did a lot of work like red teaming, etc. Then thought, why shouldn't we teach this? So because no student should face the same thing that we have faced and should get equal opportunities that we did not got at our time. So we started pouring out all the information that we have learned so far into the industry to students in the form of trainings. So this is actually how I got into this. And in a nutshell, this is what I can recall.
That was a lot to recall. How old were you when you started using Linux?
Probably it was like in our school itself, we had Linux. In our computer subjects, we had to use Red Hat. So I believe it was 7th grade. We started using Linux in our school itself.
Wow. I mean, I only started using Ubuntu now. In my college, I have a VM installed. Like, I don't have a separate computer. I use a virtual machine to use Linux. That's pretty cool, man. Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of schools starting to do that. Like, they're also introducing a little bit of Linux and more about cybersecurity, right? I mean, like sometimes kids also get nervous when they hear the word hacking because of the way we are taught about it, the way we say it in movies. Like we know the word hacker, but we never actually understand what's going on in their lives. I mean, it looks so simple in the movies, right? Like, I think just before this, I was watching Arrow and I was seeing their hacking people the hackers just working very quickly and just figuring stuff out in seconds. That's not how stuff works.
Exactly. No. It is not like that. It is enormous amount of time, energy, efforts that has been put to come up with an exploit or a vulnerability that people just think it is very easy to exploit, but it takes tremendous amount of time, energy, and efforts to identify that particular loophole.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I'm pretty sure. I just want to know how Shifa felt when you first came to her with whatever you had to show. How did you feel when he just first came to you with his work, Shifa?
Okay. With the certain things, he used to trick us so much. He was the most mischievous person in our group. So he used to trick people a lot. This is how we started. And luckily, we have got an introduction to the subject of cybersecurity, wherein our professors was also not expecting this subject. That was the year very firstly this subject was introduced. So then he used to tell me a lot of things about it. Do you know the Wi-Fi password? Do you know we can do a lot with USB? Do you know this? Do you know that? Not only to me, to a lot of different group mates, he used to show so many cool stuff. Okay, you're playing this game. I already have full coins. So somehow he used to manage the crack, and also he was the only one who used to not play game actually, but also to have so many points with him all the while. So we used to not like everyone used to run behind him saying that, hey, please do this for me, because everyone want to look cool into the college life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many guys have this fantasy to look so cool. So this is how he was very famous that time. He was the one who was a real hacker. Everyone used to call him, hey hacker, come here. So this is how yeah, this is how friends call each other in college days. So luckily there was an introduction to the subject of cybersecurity. And one day, the very first day, he used to ask ma'am, each time she said that, okay, so anyone have any doubt? So his hand was always up the whole lecture. He was standing and asking so many questions because he had a lot of things to ask, but no one was there to answer because he was studying on himself. So then ma'am called us personally because he knew that I belong to the same group and I had quite good relationship with the ma'am. So then she said that, hey Rohit, I'm going to tell you very clearly that this is the first time I am assigned with this subject and I have no clue about this subject. Please stop asking me in front of the whole class. So if you know more than me, take this opportunity, teach everyone. So that was the time Rohit, when he used to show us the cool tricks, was now our professor for the particular subject in, I guess, first or second year of engineering. So he used to teach us cybersecurity. The whole semester, Rohit was the one who taught us cybersecurity. And he made it so interesting. with a lot of practicals. He came up, he have literally done a lot of practical which we have never done throughout the engineering into that one particular subject, and everyone loved the way he used to do it, and everyone wanted to be a part of it. So this is how he introduced himself very professionally in front of the whole class, teaching about cybersecurity, being a classmate. So that day, Rohit was then something else in front of our eyes. We used to respect him a lot more than what we used to do before. So he proved himself in that one semester. And then this is how cybersecurity went away again from our lives. Then we again got an opportunity from an organization who used to conduct the webinars and seminars kind of stuff into our college. So they came up with this subject, cybersecurity, and again cybersecurity came into our lives, and then we started. We never stopped from there.
Wow.
So Rohit, yeah.
So Rohit, basically, you taught an entire class. How many semesters was that class?
Only one semester we had that subject of cybersecurity because we belong to electronics. So we didn't had so many subjects on IT, but this was the one which was just newly introduced, one subject. So then he said that I'm not going to leave this subject forever. That was the thing, because everyone was running behind in going into electronics and communication industries, because on campus you're going to get only the placements which you are learning. So we were learning electronics. So many industries from electronics and communications came in. They had our drives and so many things happened. But he said that I am not going to sit into any one of them because I don't want to waste my time doing electronics and communications. So this is how we started.
Wow. Rohit, how did you teach so many students? Like, were they already interested in studying this subject, or did you have to trick them into influence them to learn more about cybersecurity? How did you do that?
So basically, I believe that the content for that particular course that was introduced recently in our college, it was the first time that it came in our batch. And after seeing basically the index of that content, I believe that this is what I have already learned so far. And like from the intuition, I believed that, yeah, this is what I have learned, and this can be learned by every one of them who is just not so much exposed towards cybersecurity, being an electronic student. So I believe that it wouldn't be a very difficult task in just trying to express whatever I have learned and absorbed so far from self-learning to all the students out there. And it just went fine, to be honest.
That's great. Like, if I were to, like, do you remember how did you start teaching students about cybersecurity? Because I think that's where a lot of kids get confused, because when they type it up on YouTube, there's like a jillion things. Some people say you first learn networking, no, first learn Linux, then what's next? So did you have a roadmap in mind when you started teaching them?
Oh, yes. So I never had a roadmap in my mind. It was just now, just a lot of students, they actually tell me that I really have a very good teaching style, that these are the words that my student has told to me, and I totally respect them. I always try to take feedbacks from all the students. I believe everyone has a different way of understanding. Not all the learners are same. All learners learn a different way, some visually, some different ways, with some different examples. It's just how you connect to a student's heart and is able to consume whatever we are trying to teach them. It's just not always the fault of a student if it's not able to learn a particular subject. The teacher also plays a very vital role in introducing the subject that way, or maybe, if I would say, molding a subject that way, the student starts building up his interest into that. So it is definitely a very dignified role or responsibility that a teacher has to face. And coming back to your question, in the beginning, I didn't have a roadmap because I did not know what actually teaching would be like, because I never had a prior experience about teaching. But it actually, like, I was able to fit the blocks easily and connect the dots. It was simple. I just tried to express in very simple words that the student would actually understand. And it just started that way. And I started understanding what are the hurdles that a student may face understanding a particular topic, cut that down into small gist or bullet points that a student can learn. And at the end, whenever like till now, whatever I'm teaching to my students is, I try to put as much as examples of their day-to-day life that they can relate to. This way they never forget what they have learned. Not using a lot of technical jargons is what I believe in the beginning, because a student may fall into a dilemma thinking about, I should understand the principal concept or should I remember the technical jargons. So I believe technical jargons are not important in the beginning. Just making understand the principle is very important. So this is how it all started. And now then after that, I have improvised a lot in my way of teaching. And now I believe that people are able to understand and liking my teaching style.
Yeah.
At least the students that I have talked to.
Mm-hmm. I think do you think it also has to do with the fact that kids are getting more and more smarter generationally, maybe because they have more access to information than you all did, and further on they would have more information access than I do. Do you think that also plays a role in the them understanding much better?
Definitely, it plays a very important role, because at times when we were there and we stepped into the cybersecurity ocean, things were already there, but they were segregated. And we had to collect everything, and we had to try to make, you can say, a mind map of things that we have to learn down the line. But now it is not like that. People have collected everything, and now it's into a ready to consume form. If you take an example of what we teach, there is a very big ocean of cybersecurity. We have basically picked up all the parts that are important into industry, and we have streamlined into it, so a student is not able to basically get confused or get lost into this very big ocean. Definitely this helps. Exposure towards information helps a student to learn more and more new things, and streamlining everything is very important, or the student may get lost, because internet is very huge. People can easily get lost into things where they are learning. So it is so much segregated. But if one is curious and tries to put as much as effort he wants, he can definitely learn from a lot of open source as well as exposed information that is out there onto the internet.
Right. I mean, I think everything's on the net these days. You just need to know where to look. Right. I mean, I've also seen people give out Udemy courses for free. I mean, I might actually have a few of them downloaded. I've never seen them because I never wanted to. I just like holding up free stuff on my computer.
Everyone does.
I think it might be out there. Yeah. Right. So, again, there is this huge rise that I'm seeing in penetration testing and bug bounty hunting these days. Now more than ever. Again, like obviously, I think it will take some time for us as a nation to pick up. I think it'll take like 4 to 5 years, because like recently I was just figuring a way out to get an internship at a cybersecurity company as a first year student. I just don't find a lot of people who are hiring cybersecurity specific interns. They're looking for software interns and maybe marketing interns. But still, I really think that we're going to have maybe, I don't want to use the word army, but I think I'll just go ahead and use the word army, not in that sense, but like a huge group of ethical hackers and pen testers in the future, because that's more accessible to students on social media, and it's become cool. So people like that. What do you think are some mistakes anybody who's a pen tester or who's aspiring to become a pen tester or do anything in red teaming? What are the biggest flaws and what mistakes do you think they make?
Initially, I would like to repeat your question. So do you want to know that what mistakes a beginner would make before getting to pen testing?
I think both. Like, yeah, mostly beginners, and then even after, like they're like, okay, we're good enough. I don't think anybody's ever good enough to declare themselves, okay, ha, we're well and good. They might also make some mistakes, and there must be some, you must have observed a lot of kids who are coming out of college making some mistakes, and there must be patterns. So have you noticed certain mistakes that pen testers make?
So before this question, I would like to answer your first question, which you said that you were looking for internship into organizations and you were not finding enough of them, the intern opportunities, especially in terms of cybersecurity. So cybersecurity internships are there, but they are not publicly available, I would say, because I have a personal connection with a lot of organizations wherein they have a huge requirement for students, but cybersecurity is a part, it's like a heart of an organization. No one can give a beginner the whole heart of an organization to play with. So this is one thing which I feel this job role is a lot more. It is a job role wherein you have to be so much responsible for all the stuff that you do. You cannot just make mistakes over here, because that is gonna create a huge impact to the whole organization. So they do hire interns. I personally have so many connections wherein into the organization, so they contact directly to us saying that, hey, we need 2 interns. So we just give them 2 names and both of them are selected. So this is how we have maintained the connection with them, because we know we know the students personally and we can trust them. Not about the trust, but also we trust them in terms of technicality. We know that this student might not make the noob kind of mistakes because he know the technical stuff. He has been doing very good with bug bounties. So this is a part of an organization which has to be so secure. You cannot make mistakes, because most of the times the organizations who are going to hire into cybersecurity in India especially, they are mostly the financial organizations, banking organizations, and these are the organizations who mainly work into cybersecurity the most. So they hire their in-house team, and the place that you are going to intern with is also going to be the huge experience for you. So the huge experience doesn't come very easily, right? So you have to be very smart enough. So this way they do hire. A lot of my students have placed in a very unique way in cybersecurity. So I would like to share a couple of them. So one organization, a student was testing an organization for bug bounties. He was just capturing the request, trying to manipulate it to figure out that what is going inside the organization. Is there any flaw into the organization? So he got a very cool stuff. Once he captured the request, he have got a flag, some random string, which said, if you are looking for a job or an internship, take this string, mail us, because we are looking for someone like you. That means the organization was looking for interns, but they were looking for someone who could understand this kind of request, who is able to capture that request. So these are some unique ways which you will only find in cybersecurity. Developing teams or the organization who is hiring for marketing and all, they will never do that. So this was one thing. So then he said, and he sent me that request saying, ma'am, I got this. What do I do now? So I said that you're looking for something. So he said, yes, I am looking for an internship. So then he sent them the mail with the same random string saying that, hello, I got this and I am interested in this job. So this is how he got selected. One more student, so he posted, as you mentioned, we discussed initially about the screenshot and all. So one of my student used to write a lot of blogs about what the bounty he got and how did he got, what was his approach about the bounty. So he used to post it on LinkedIn in his own words, saying that, okay, these are certain tools which helped me get this bounty and something. So then he directly got a call from a security manager or someone. He said that we are looking for someone into our team. Would you be interested in working? Direct, with no interview, direct call. So these are certain ways they keep their eye over LinkedIn, they keep their eye over the request that you are sending to the organization. So they will contact you in a very unique way. So this is one specialty of cybersecurity, I would say. So internship jobs are there, but they are there for a specific set of individuals who are so special, and they have the extra talent. For them, they are very easily available. For the rest of the public, if you're not getting it, work hard. Work hard in some unique way, think out of the box, because that is what they want. Coming back to your second question, I think that was related to pen testing.
Right.
That what mistakes or common mistakes they make. So one mistake which I feel most of my students make is they try to attach their emotions with the bounty reward, with the amount of bounty that they are going to receive. Let's say you submit a bug to an organization and you saw that, okay, this organization pays between $100 to $1,000. Even if it is a low bug, they are going to pay me $100. So what they do is, okay, once they submit the report, they keep on checking their email. Okay, did I got the response? Where is my $100 now? So they try to just keep on checking the thing. And then when they receive the mail saying that, oops, we have already received this report from another researcher, your bug is now duplicated or not applicable. So this way they feel so demotivated. They say, okay, bug bounty is not my cup of tea. I'm not going to do this ever, because they think that they are not getting rewarded for the hard work they have done. But what they are missing is they are missing the learning curve. They have made it till here. They were not so quick to submit the bug at the first place, but still there was a lot to learn. There was a very hard way what they have learned. They have made a submission that was accepted, but just that someone else has already reported it means you're not going to get bounty. So a lot of individuals, what they do is they try to relate each and everything with monetary rewards. Everyone want to earn, I know, but this is not the right age to earn so much of bounties. Work on your learnings. Bounties are going to come directly with you. So you don't have to bother a lot about bounties, amounts, and so many stuff. What you have to work on at the beginner level is maintaining your learning curve. Try to take out certain things, learn them properly, test them properly on thousands of different websites. That is more important, not the $100 that you have just missed. So with that missed $100, do not demotivate yourself. So this is what I think. Rohit can add a lot more.
I just before we go to, I really get what you just said. I think like even me, when I started this podcast, when I'm making content, I used to get hurt because I'm not getting enough likes on social media. But now eventually I think like it's both, right? Like it's just the status part that excites us a lot, like us millennials. We like to look at the glamorous part of everything. Could be the bounties, could be the likes. Like even I when like let's say I upload some reels, let's say I cut up I post produce my podcast and I put it up. Let's say I don't get enough views one day. It it used to hurt me a lot. It still hurts me a little bit, but I think eventually you need to figure a way out to train yourself to change the way you look at stuff. Right. Like you don't want to look at it as, okay, I'm like, I think it all comes down to why you are doing what you're doing. Why are you looking for bugs? Why am I posting content? And maybe that could make a difference.
Yes, Ishan, very young age, you got to learn a lot of things. So yeah, this is one thing. We have to change the vision we look at things, certainly. And also focus on what excites you the most. What is the thing that you are enjoying? You love doing podcast with experts. That's the important part, not the number of likes or the number of appreciations you are getting. You're enjoying it, just do it. Don't think about the other stuff. Let's not the other stuff make you demotivated or makes you hurt. Because when you put this video, a lot of people may talk bad about it, but you don't have to just stop because of those bad words. You just have to keep going the way you are. You don't have to think about, because there are 50% audience who is going to love your work. There are 50% of audience who might not like your work the way you are doing. So rather than focusing on the part of the persons or students who are not liking it, will not stop it. You enjoy it, you do it. It's that straight. If you're loving it, just do it. So similar to this on Bug Bounties, if you think that Bug Bounty is one thing you want to make a profession into, just do it. Don't think about rewards. Don't think about anything else. Don't compare your rewards with others also, because I have seen, let's say, same organization, same type of work, two different individuals getting rewarded differently. So they think, what was my mistake? Why are you thinking about your mistake? You have not done any mistake. It's about them. Let them reward you the way they want to. You have done it properly. You have they are we always try to find out the mistakes. This is one very bad habit that we have. Let's stop finding out the mistakes. Let's accept the happiness that we have already got. So with $100, make yourself happy that you have earned so many dollars. So this hunger to earn something extra, to earn something, will not lend you anywhere. So you have to make yourself satisfied into the conditions and situations you are, and try to take the maximum advantage and happiness out of whatever you are getting. So this is what I have learned so far, and Ishan has already learned it.
I like to
think
think so, but yeah, we'll get there. Right. So, Rohit, while you were moving up in bug bounty hunting, what do you think, apart from the status part, where some other unique mistakes that a lot of people, I'm sure even you must have made some mistakes when you were going through the journey. Would you like to share them with us?
Sure. So you guys have pretty much covered everything. 5 points that I believe that I always keep in my mind whenever I'm connecting to any student is this is what I tell them. For anyone who is trying to begin their journey, not only in pen testing, but any aspect of their life, starting with the priority wise, we can say the first one is, I always say, is curiosity. If you're not curious to do pen testing, don't jump into it. If you're not curious about cybersecurity, if this does not drives you at all, do not go into this, because eventually you're going to get burned out. This is what I always say. If this interests you and you think that you can effortlessly work into this and invest your time without expectations. So again, these are all the points that you have already mentioned. Shifa has mentioned not expecting anything. So if you do not expect for anything back, that is the best thing that you can do. And working tirelessly without getting just bored out of it, because eventually one is going to get bored after some time that he's going to put into. So first, most important thing is curiosity, that a beginner can make a mistake while he's jumping into pen testing, just not seeing the shiny, shimmery world of cybersecurity. As we are getting so much exposed towards digitalization, people nowadays think like, yeah, cybersecurity is one of the best career opportunity to jump into. And definitely it is. I agree to that fact. But curiosity is again important. I'm not saying you cannot develop curiosity. If you've never heard about anything, you can definitely develop curiosity. Just try to understand what are the next opportunities or roles that you're going to perform into. And if it drives you, definitely you can jump into it. So the first point is curiosity. Second point that I believe is most of the beginners that they do is they actually, you can say, miss or skip the basics, which are very important. Till date, I can see a lot of professionals still are very bad with their basics, and everything works on basic fundamental principles. If you just skip the basic fundamental principles, if you can say, if the construction of your building, in that, if your basic foundation is very weak, eventually you will fall apart at one day, which is very important. So all the beginners, you see a lot of stuff that is going on everywhere. stick to the basics. It's very important. Doing practicals is very important. Just reading theory is not going to help in a long run. It may help in a short run, but definitely practicals are very important, and always stick to the basics of everything. That is either networking, either it is OS, Linux, mobile, whatever it is. These 2 points. Next is expectations. We always have a desire to earn. Everyone has a desire for money, but definitely I believe myself is you will earn a lot of money if you focus more towards your learning aspect or your learning part in the beginning. So if you are focused more towards your learning and improving your skills, even with a short package of money that you are getting, that is fine. I and Shifa, we have worked for free for 6 months, 7 months, a year as well. And now we are earning a handsome amount of money every month. That is fine. I've just expressed this point because everyone once is a beginner, and you cannot expect someone gives you a full bag or a lot of money before even like trying to see what your caliber is. So do not expect for anything. First of all, focus toward more of your learning phase. You will definitely get money. Cybersecurity is one of the very, very good job, which is very, very much, you can say, lucrative. There is a lot of money involved in cybersecurity, and people can earn a lot of things. I can definitely guarantee this. Next is burnout. I see a lot of people getting burned out in between by extensively putting themselves in something like, let's say, bug bounties. They do not get anything. They are getting duplicate, not applicable, and they give up. They think this is not for me. Time to change or switch my career to something else. This is not done. If you are such short-tempered, and if you think you cannot do something by just falling once or twice, or by these hurdles or milestones that come across you, definitely you cannot go in the long run. Either it is, if it is pen testing or it is anything out there. Talking about you being a social media influencer, let's say, there are a lot of things that come across our road, and we never should get burned out. We should definitely get up again, and we should try to figure out what are the mistakes that we eventually did and learn from those mistakes so that we improve ourselves in the life graph. I would like to say what I am doing good from what I did bad from yesterday. And the last point is imposter syndrome. So a lot of people think I will never be able to achieve this step that is being done by someone else. Never think about that. Never ever undermine yourself, or never ever keep a preconceived notion that I cannot do the same thing that this guy is doing. That is actually false. And keeping yourself under that perception is totally wrong. I also tell my students, one day you are going to be better cybersecurity engineers than me. Definitely you can. Okay. Just think about the bigger picture on a large scale. Okay. And seeing about this pen testing or bug bounty reports, people getting $50,000 and seeing like, I will never be able to do this. Why? Because I do not have these resources. I do not have a very good configuration computer. I do not have those tools. That is false. You are keeping yourself under that preconceived notion that because of lack of resources, you're not able to do this. This is wrong. You can definitely do it. And do not think about if someone is good into something, you cannot also be equally good in that. So you can definitely do that as well. It is just about your learning curve of how good you are doing at something from the previous day. So these are some of the points in a nutshell that I wanted to make.
I think that was a pretty brilliant way to just explain. I think that covered everything any beginner and anybody my age just needs to know to get going. Not just in cybersecurity, but anywhere in life that they want to do. That was a pretty wonderful way you express all the 5 points in detail, and I really thank you for putting it that way. Thanks, man. Great. So just one last question that I want to ask you people. Actually, I have many questions, so I think I'll just ask more questions. Rohit, like we just I think I saw you've worked at ICICI for 2 years, and again, like when every time I log into my bank, like My father is pretty concerned every time I log into my bank account using a computer. He is pretty strict about rules like, hey, make sure you only use the virtual keyboard. Don't use the normal keyboard. Okay, click. It will take time, but please do so. And I'm sure that RBI must have laid out some basic guidelines for security that all these banks must follow. And again, like, they must be hiring some other students or hackers. So what do they look for in security experts, not particularly banks in this case, to keep the system safe?
Okay. So I understood from your question is what generally organization like bank would look for specific skill sets in any person to hire them. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So there are pretty much a lot of skills that are common that one organization looks for in any individual who's going to apply for, but there are some other different factors as well. So first of all, a person should have extensive knowledge about very important thing, considering this from you can say from a perspective of someone who's going to apply for a job. Okay, he should have a very good extensive knowledge of how servers work, specifically Linux. He should also have a very good command over how Windows Server works, how Active Directory kind of structure works, because this is what is actually employed in many of the banks. It is a DC controller kind of setup, Active Directory setup. So he should know what is actually Active Directories, what is concepts of Linux, how permissions works and all that stuff. Apart from this, very strong foundational skills of what is the most common software bugs that are identified in applications. So these are some of the points that they look for. And whenever we are working into an organization, which is, we generally term this as critical infra, whenever we are working with bank. So whenever any individual is working with some critical infra, there are some new test cases that they have to come across. For example, if I give you a very simple example, there is a functionality called as maker checker in banks generally that we test for. This is not available in different organizations. So what is maker checker? So whenever any user, let's say you, Ishan, is going to apply for your credit card application, it goes through two-step verification. So there are two people who are going to check both the things. First is the maker, second is the checker. So first the maker approves, the checker then checks it and approves, and finally it gets approved and your credit limit is approved and all that stuff. So a person should know access control based issues as well, how access for a student, a principal and a teacher is different into an organization. Similarly, there are a lot of other test cases as well that one looks that he has a basic understanding about privilege based issues, access control issues, how Active Directory works, how Linux works, how basic fundamental of operating system works, how mobile applications works. And we also test for we also do thick client and thin client based pen testing. So for all the viewers, what is thick client and thin client is basically those softwares which save data in itself. So applications, we also test applications. So one should also have a knowledge about how applications work. And apart from that, mobile applications, how mobile applications are working. So basically for a beginner to get a job into a bank, for especially into their ISG team, which is the security group or information security team, he should have enough understanding about all these different areas. That is mobile, that is thick client, thin client, that is web, and access control issues, privilege escalation issues, and all the basic one remains the same. Learning about OWASP top 10, the most common top 25 SANS, 25 software bugs and all that stuff. This is what I can recall now.
I think that was enough for a good start to anybody who just wanted to know. I really like the way you answered that. That was a pretty good answer for anybody who just wants to figure things out. Now, my last question is to both of you. I think I'll ask Shifa this first. When you interact with people with your connections, I'm sure they must have asked you about, okay, what's the scope of cybersecurity? Is it really good enough? Where do you think we as a nation are today in terms of cybersecurity? One. Second, is it enough? And third, where do you think we should be headed towards? Not where we will be, but where you think you should be in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of cybersecurity?
Okay. So the very first thing that you asked that about the students, that they ask about the scope of cybersecurity. Generally, most of the messages that I get are the very bad kind of experience for me, because they just say, give me a guidance on cybersecurity. I cannot give the whole guidance on cybersecurity in just one message. The one who know about this word cybersecurity should do a bit more research about this word cybersecurity, and they can come up with some specific set of questions, because cybersecurity, as I mentioned, to me it's very precious, and I feel the same. It's the most responsible thing I know in the whole IT world. So scope of cybersecurity for a beginner is, it looks very narrow when you see from outside, but when I know a lot of organization looking for so many things, but I cannot recommend the random person directly, because I don't know, I have not seen your work. So whenever you connect to me, just share me more about yourself, not only just the guidance on it, not just about your qualification. Show me the research that you have done on cybersecurity, show me the work, your capabilities. So this way you will make yourself different from thousands of DM. Not only me, but a lot like me are getting the similar copy pasted message that show some guidance on cyber. We have seen enough of your work on cybersecurity, share some guidance. This is not the way to ask for guidance, right? How am I gonna give you the guidance? I don't know how much knowledge you already have. Show me something that you already know. After that, show me that where you are stuck. So we are the person who are ready to help, but in a particular way. I cannot just before some days I got a message saying that help me into the cybersecurity project for my college. So this is not the way of asking, help me make my I am not going to make your project. If you're stuck somewhere, please tell me that, okay, these was the things I have researched, these are certain articles I'm referring to, this is my topic, here I am stuck. Not replying, please reply, please. What do I reply? Complete my project. How do I complete your project? So these are certain things which I get repetitively. The students, all the things that Rohit mentioned about the jobs into the critical infrastructure, not only about the critical infrastructure, about any other job that you go. So there is one way, the way of professionalism. When anyone comes to my organization, I am not only going to judge him or her based on the skills of technical they have, also about the behavior, the sense of responsibility, what he or she should be able to, how good they are going to work as a team, not as an individual, because these are certain factors which are overall going to affect my organization. We are not working as a freelancers into the organization. You have to be a team player. You have to share the equal load with all the other members present with you. So these are also some skills which I think everyone I know who are sending this kind of message should learn, that how to communicate. First of all, I am fine if you're not good with English. Type your message in Gujarati, Hindi, whatever language you want, but there's a sense of sending a message to someone. uh, so these are some certain things which I think that so many of the students should learn. I know you're stuck somewhere, but I don't know what are the places where I could help. Tell me the proper thing, that here is where I need your help. Give me just one fill in the blank. I am able to fill that for you. I'm not going to write the whole paragraph for you showing my guidance. We have made enough video on guiding about cybersecurity. We have given enough interviews about it. So there are so many, just check it out. If you can just come and point me that, okay, this is your interview link wherein you have said that on 40-minute 20-second you said certain things, and I want more clarification on that. So maybe I can just go there and refer that what are the words that I have used wherein a person needs a clarification. So maybe on that I can comment something. I just cannot make you perfect ready for cybersecurity with just one post of message. So these are certain things. First thing I want them to improve. The second, so when they have done enough knowledge, when they have done that, the way to ask questions, so they already have so many answers in their hand. They don't need to type in a message to someone saying for guidance, because they have already done their own research. Everyone's research is different. They consume the information different way. If you, me, and Rohit are reading the same article, three of us, I am 100% sure, if someone say to write down 10 points out of that article, all of us are gonna write it differently, because the way we look at certain information is different and the outcomes are also different. So these are the points which everyone, the beginners mostly, should learn. We are there to guide you. We are not denying, but do not just ping saying reply above message, check above message, reply, ping dot,
Right.
ping dot.
Yeah.
So
Like,
this
when you
is
say, put it that way, I actually am, I think now I have started to deploy some empathy for students who are, including, like, there are times when I have done the same thing. Right. And I don't blame them, because we don't know how to communicate what we want properly. We don't know how to ask. I think one thing that even I struggle with today is that this notion of being professional and knowing how to ask. I think I still struggle with asking properly. Right. I mean, like, when I had to figure out, okay, what, even when I was reaching out to you to be a guest on the podcast, I was just I didn't know what to ask or what to write. Should I write like a very long message like, hello, I would, I really like your work. I would really, really, really like you to be on my podcast. I don't know, like, maybe it's, butter you up or something, say some nice things, or just ask. Like, I have empathy for all students because I too am one of them.
okay.
Okay.
So to me, if you wanna ask, you can just tell me that, hey Shifa, I have seen a couple of your work and I have that kind of audience who wanna know more about cybersecurity. So can you just come to this and share your views on my channel? This is how I would ask to someone to whom I wanna bring in. It's their decision whether they wanna take it or no. But I would say about my audience that, okay, these are certain people or my friends who want to learn more about cybersecurity, and we couldn't find anyone. So let's just connect in and share about your views on cybersecurity or something. I've seen your LinkedIn profile. That's fine. I don't want anyone to make me feel so great by just writing, okay, you otherwise just come in and give it a show, something like that. About the other things that you asked, that where do I see myself after 5-10 years, like this?
Yes,
In
yourself
cybersecurity.
and the like the people of India as a group, both.
Okay, the people of India, I think we who are into cybersecurity are different than the layman stuff, the part of the world, because we know we are so careful about every link we click, but they are not. So we need to work a lot more on social engineering and phishing kind of stuff, wherein we know, even each and every kid know that how to use the mobile application, how to use the different applications, how to use games, how to install games, how to do so many stuff. But what they don't know is the security stuff. A lot of cases when you see comes up because the kid is using their parents mobile phone to do certain transaction, and they end up spending a lot of money on purchasing the now the skins of the car
Games.
and whatever
Yeah.
games you
Game
play, right?
skins. Yes.
Games
Video game
so
skins.
right, so what the kid doesn't understand is that they are actually losing their money into all this stuff. And also it is the mistake of the parents that they are not letting the kid, they are just taking the phone away. That is not the way. You have to tell them that, okay, with this we are losing a lot of things if you are just doing this, so do not, be careful about certain passwords, be careful about this stuff. So sharing the mobile phone is not a problem, but let him understand about what all things not to do into the mobile phone. So these are certain things every kid knows that, okay, we are moving very fast to the digital world, and also the scope for the scammers have increased a lot. We have so many scammers. You will see frauds, calls, messages daily saying to disclose your sensitive information over call, and so many things they do. So I think we are we have to be very quick into social engineering kind of awareness programs as well. If this doesn't happen, this by the end of 2021, I have seen one paper which shows that we are going to lose $6 trillion rupees in just this scams. So which is a lot. In cybersecurity, we are going to lose. Maybe it could be due to the vulnerable application. It could be because of the misusing of data and a lot of stuff. So I think in cybersecurity, we are already running very late. So we have to speed up by spreading the awareness to the small places where we are not able to reach. The one who are going to watch your show are already enough aware about this cybersecurity stuff. We who already know are getting so much of information, but the one who are not getting, we have to think about them. Then and only then we are gonna be available to use this cybersecurity as a gift of technology. Otherwise, this is gonna create the whole harm to the society. It's already is. The one who is scammed once, then go and read more about cybersecurity. Even if this lose their 10 to 100 rupees in some scam, then they come and search about it. Okay, so what are this kind of scam? And then they become so cautious about it. So let's not wait for the scam to happen to you or to your family members. Start learning. If you are watching the show, it would be my request to learn more about cybersecurity. Don't wait for the scam to come to your home. So this is how I think we should, on India or on national level, we have to try to spread awareness with different ways. I think our government is taking the initiative. They have already started so many initiatives. This time I have seen with the internship, they have hired so many interns, I guess 5,000 interns for Gurugram Police cyber internship. So they are trying to cover maximum amount of students they can, so that the awareness reaches each and every home of a student. This is what I feel the main motive is. And second thing, they have already started the certification, like this cybercrime intervention officer kind of a license, wherein they teach the 7-day awareness kind of session to their departments, mostly to the army and police services, the personnel who are just practicing this. So they are making it compulsory from their end. It's also our responsibility to spread the awareness about it to the other part of the world that we know. So this thing, and myself, about 5 to 10 years from now, I want to continue with trainings mainly, because I love doing this. I have been doing trainings since so long. I have started by teaching the home tuitions. Then I started teaching in classes, multiple subjects. Then slowly I moved to teach into some international schools about mobile application development, because that's what I used to do. Students, when you go to the students of the international schools, they are damn. They are gonna eat you because they love technology and they have so much of curiosity about that question. There is no break to that thinking and thought process.
Hmm.
So the way they think is very different, and even they start programming from first standard. This is how they have planned. So in first standard, block coding, and then they slowly move into JavaScript, Java, this virtual reality kind of subjects they learn by their 8th and 9th grade. So they already have developed that kind of mentality. So I want the rest of the part, the national board and the other board, the normal schooling also, to adapt this and to learn more about technology, not only not only just to be into technical as a profession, but to be residing as a normal individual. Technology is something that we use from morning to evening, so you should know that how it has been developed and how it can harm you as an individual. Even if you are a businessman, you should know the basic functionality, the basic way how you can lose certain things, your identity can be misused. So these are certain things which I want the whole world to learn about it. So I'll stick to cybersecurity for next so many years. This is my.
That's impressive. You should know how your identity could be used against you. That was a pretty bold statement. So I think I'm gonna keep that in mind. Okay, now I think we'll wrap this up. It's been over an hour now. I would like to ask both of you collectively, three things that you want to leave everybody, not just students, not just people, like everybody in general. What are the three things that you would like to leave this audience with?
Who is gonna start first?
Rohit,
Rohit?
okay, so there are actually a lot of things that I would like to speak about, but keeping it concise. First and the foremost thing that I want to say is cybersecurity has a place for everyone. All the audience out there, definitely, if you want, you can jump into cybersecurity. It's very huge and it has equal opportunities for everyone. There's actually 0% recession in cybersecurity that has happened in, if you take out the statistics of last decades. So that is absolutely awesome. Making a career in cybersecurity is definitely a choice and can be done. This is the first point that I want to make. Second point I want to say is it is never late. If you are still working or as other profession, you can definitely switch on to cybersecurity. I have seen people switching on to cybersecurity after working as a developer for more than 5 years. So it is never late. If you think that you are a business or management kind of person who is doing that, but you have a very good interest, curiosity, learning about cybersecurity, and you think that you can do good, definitely you can look cybersecurity as a career option. One last thing that I want to mention is awareness. Self-awareness and awareing people around you is very important. We cannot deny the fact that in the country that we live, like India, there is not a lot of on the ground root level intrinsic cybersecurity awareness that has been done. If you take any example of, let's say, talking about school or colleges or universities, but this is one thing that government and other private institutions as well are taking and giving much importance to, and I believe this is going to be very much taken up front and is going to be given a lot of importance now, because we are so much digitally exposed towards the amount of data that is being circulated. Our life is so much connected to internet and apps. So cybersecurity is the need of the hour. You can say it is our digital right. Everyone should be aware about security. From a user perspective as well, if you're not concerned about making a career in cybersecurity, from a user perspective, security is important. And there are some tips of digital hygiene that one should always keep in mind. Some very important tips from a user perspective, not a professional perspective, are also very important, so that they do not fall prey to these black hat hackers or scams, phishing scams, or other type of those attacks. So self-awareness is very important, and as much as you
I
can,
like that.
as much as you can at the end, guys, the last words I would like to say is do as much as self-awareness and aware people around you, your parents, grandparents, colleagues, mother, father, anyone, uncle, aunt who is around you. Tell them the importance about cybersecurity at a personal level. They are not concerned about this as a professional level, but make them understand about this, because this is the need of the hour and it is our digital right.
Cybersecurity is a digital right. I really like that statement.
Thank you.
That was a very wonderful way to end this show, end this episode. Thank you both of you for giving your time to this episode and this audience. It really means a lot to all of us, and I was really glad to host both of you here as my guest. And I really would like to do this again sometime, to be honest, because I really enjoyed having a conversation with you. I think you both have a lot of knowledge, not just from the cybersecurity perspective, which in itself is a pretty detailed conversation. We can go more in depth about pen testing, what Linux should you start with. There is just so much more to talk about. And then there's also the business aspect of then there is communication, how you speak with your interns and people. So I really had a wonderful time with you. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you so much, Ishan, first of all, for inviting us. We really appreciate at this age you are hosting a show yourself. So this is one thing I want to say to everyone. Staying happy is the most important thing in life, apart from everything that you do. So keep yourself so positive that no negative energies should affect not only your profession, but your life. So keep yourself positive, attach your emotion to the right thing, not with bounties at this moment. So yeah, Ishan is doing a great job, and I want so many of Ishan to come up and host the shows like this. Being so you were so confident on this show, Ishan. So I liked so many things about you, and I appreciate that so many young talent are coming up with their fresh new ideas of hosting a podcast with us. So yeah, we would also like to join in and share more insights on such subjects and topics which you mentioned. Thank you so much, Ishan, for inviting us.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Ishan, for having us. And once again, you were, I think, the youngest host that we have interacted with till now. We have interacted with a lot of college professors who are 50, 60, 70 years old as well.
Wow.
You are the first one who are very young. So it's we actually are very happy seeing that very students and people at a very young age from the college itself are taking this opportunity to come up with and discuss with people from the industry, and just trying to put this up for the audience so that it benefits everyone. So we are happy, and we would like to connect with you once again. It was a very good communication, actually. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I think that was it. I think we can stop the recording now.
Sure.